From supernatural, slasher, and thriller to ghosts and psychopaths, horror movies come in different shapes and sizes. But amongst them lies an underrated gem that is horror comedy. Did you know this genre is secretly best friends? Horror and comedy have a lot in common. They both wait for the perfect timing and build the suspense, producing a roller coaster of emotions. You're laughing for 1 minute and screaming when something scary pops up. Today, we look into movies that have successfully made us cringe, laugh, and scream all at the same time. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Shaun of the Dead, 2004. First up, we have Shaun of the Dead, titled the first ever rom-com, which had a mix of zombie horror and British romantic comedy. Shaun, portrayed by Simon Pegg, is a 29-year-old electronics salesman struggling with his mundane life. He is also moping around like a lost soul after his breakup with his girlfriend Liz, played by actress Kate Ashfield. Shaun tries his best to win her back while steering his chaotic relationships with his mom, Barbara, and roommate Ed. Still grappling with separation, things descend into chaos with a zombie outbreak in London. Shaun and his roommate Ed are determined to rescue his mom and his girlfriend Liz in this chaos. It is hilarious to watch Shaun and Ed attempt to survive and fight off zombies in their rescue mission. The movie takes some amount of inspiration from George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead series. Shaun of the Dead garnered widespread critical acclaim with a rating score of 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics have praised the movie's brilliant blend of horror and satire with clever and witty dialogues. The movie incorporates subtle references like strawberry-flavored ice cream, which signifies the movie's bloody themes, and the inclusion of Cornetto as Ed's hangover cure is Wright's personal touch, since it's his actual hangover cure as well. Another interesting fact that influenced the movie was Shaun and Ed's friendship, which was based on the time when Simon and Nick shared a flat. There is a scene where Shaun tells Liz he will take her to the place that does all the fish, and opens the phone book where viewers can see a restaurant called Felucci's Restaurant, the place that does all the fish. The scene pays tribute to Lucio Fulci, a well-known zombie movie director in the Italian giallo genre. Its gory horror, crisp, witty dialogues, and brilliant editing that balances all the elements together make the movie a classic among fans. What We Do in the Shadows, 2014. Next, we have a horror comedy mockumentary released in 2014, What We Do in the Shadows, directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. The movie shows us the lives of 4 vampires who are sharing an apartment in Wellington, New Zealand. Viago is a 379-year-old refined vampire who is considered the de facto leader of the group, and Deacon is also a 379-year-old who is a former Nazi vampire. The movie has 2 almost 800-year-old vampires, Vladislav, an ancient vampire whose powers are fading, and Peter, who lives in the basement. The movie documents their habits and daily struggles as immortal creatures living in the modern world. The film brilliantly depicts the challenges the 4 vampires face daily, including adapting to the evolving human technology like computers, maintaining secrecy about their identities, or finding human victims they can feed on. Their lives are disrupted by a newly turned vampire, Nick, who is struggling to adjust to his immortal existence. Imagine the sitcom of The Office, but instead of mundane office workers, the movie incorporates vampires, werewolves, and a sweet, shy IT guy named Stu. The actors have nailed their roles, and a lot of humor was improvised on the spot. Some hilarious bits that didn't make it into the movie can be found online. The film cleverly incorporates popular vampire movies, and a famous vampire character inspires each main character. Peter is like Nosferatu's creepy Count Orlov, Deacon is the Lost Boys' David, and Vladislav is inspired by Gary Oldman's Dracula. Nick, the newbie vampire, is influenced by Twilight's Edward, and Viago is Louis from Interview with the Vampire. Fun fact, the bars and nightclubs is shown in the movie that the vampires visit are established bars in Wellington's entertainment district around Courtenay Place. The movie is a highly pirated film of 2014. On Rotten Tomatoes, the movie scored an approval rating of 96%. The movie's success has sired a spin-off TV series titled What We Do in the Shadows, released in 2019 with nearly 6 seasons. An American Werewolf in London, 1981. Another movie that perfectly blends classic horror and humor is John Landis's An American Werewolf in London, released in 1981. The story brings two American tourists, David Kessler and Jack Goodman, backpacking through England's Yorkshire moors. After a whole day of traveling, they stop at a local pub, where the bartender warns them to stay on the road and avoid the moors. But the youngsters pay no heed to the warnings and venture into the moors, where a werewolf attacks them. Jack is killed, but David survives but is badly wounded and bitten by the wolf. David is immediately taken to the London hospital, but soon discovers he's become a werewolf under the next full moon. The film's initial release garnered mixed reviews, but gradually received positive responses. The movie is equally funny and terrifying, with Rick Baker's brilliant makeup effects, which even won the Academy Award for Best Makeup at the 54th Academy Awards. The movie won Best Horror Film and Best Makeup at the 1982 Saturn Awards. David Naughton's werewolf transformation took 10 hours to apply. In an interview, John Landis stated that the movie was inspired by the old 1940s horror movie The Wolfman, released in 1941, in which the werewolf was portrayed as a victim. Through his film, Landis wanted to capture the painful transformation from man to wolf and make it unbearable to watch. John wanted to treat the violence realistically, as terrible as violence always is. The funny thing was how John Landis got spooked by how violent and graphic the movie was when approving the transfer to high definition for DVD. Ghostbusters, 1984. Next, we have Ghostbusters, released in 1984, a supernatural comedy directed by Ivan Reitman. The movie balances the spooky atmosphere and tension with humor, action, and adventure. The movie centers around 3 paranormal investigators: Peter Venkman, portrayed by Bill Murray, Ray Stantz, played by Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis, who plays Egon Spengler. They lost their university jobs and started a ghost-catching service in New York City called Ghostbusters. They also recruit 2 other members for their team: Winston Zedmore, played by Ernie Hudson, and Janine Melnitz, portrayed by Annie Potts. With their shop set up at an old firehouse, they are ready to get rid of ghosts, spirits, or anything for money from New York City. During their mission, they stumble upon a gateway to another dimension that releases an evil ancient spirit of a shape-shifting demon upon the city. The Ghostbusters must save New York from world-ending destruction. The film was among the top highest-grossing comedies until Home Alone was released in 1990. Most of the scenes had at least one improvised line and went completely off the script at some points. Initially, the movie was titled Ghost Smashers. Thank God it was changed pretty quickly to Ghostbusters. The movie's release deadline was tight, so the director had to submit the film with some incomplete special effects and wires that were still visible. Luckily, audiences didn't notice and simply enjoyed the spooky ride. The film has become a cultural phenomenon that influenced movies like Tremors, Evil Dead, and even Stranger Things. Halloween would be incomplete if someone did not recreate the main Ghostbusters characters in their trick-or-treating costumes. Zombieland, 2009. When it comes to the horror comedy genre, one cannot miss the post-apocalyptic zombie comedy Zombieland, released in 2009 and directed by Ruben Fleischer. It still rules among horror fans despite new horror movies that are released each year. The movie shows Jesse Eisenberg as Columbus, a shy, awkward college student who follows strict rules to survive the zombie apocalypse. He then meets Tallahassee, played by by Woody Harrelson, a tough zombie-killing machine, and Emma Stone as Wichita, a resourceful young woman, along with her younger sister, Little Rock. The four of them, together, embark on a risky journey across the country to find a zombie-free amusement park, the Pacific Playland. The movie earned approximately $130 million worldwide, with a rating score of 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rubin mentioned that the movie draws inspiration from Shaun of the Dead, released in 2004. The amusement park scenes for the movie were filmed at Wild Adventures theme park in Valdosta, Georgia. Unlike other zombie movies like Dawn of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland has explained how the zombie apocalypse started. Columbus reveals it all began when someone ate a tainted burger with infected virus-like pathogens. People turn into zombies if they are bitten or infected through bodily fluids. Isn't it interesting to know that the blood effects in the movie were all digital and that no fake blood was used in production? What's more interesting is that all four characters were named after popular cities or state capitals: Tallahassee for Florida, Columbus for Ohio, Little Rock for Arkansas, and Wichita for Kansas. The first movie was so successful that a sequel was released in 2019, the Zombieland Double Tap, which was also a massive hit. Beetlejuice, 1988. Discussing the horror genre is simply empty without mentioning Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, released in 1988. Beetlejuice is a dark fantasy horror comedy that brilliantly balances horror and suspenseful elements with heartfelt and emotional moments. The film follows the Maitlands, Barbara and Adam, who died in a car accident, somehow find themselves haunting their own house. When the house is occupied with new inhabitants, the Maitlands hire the services of the bizarre and mischievous bio-exorcist Beetlejuice, portrayed by Michael Keaton. The movie's budget was $15 million, but it did amazing in the theaters and gained widespread acclaim that it earned approximately $74 million. Michael Keaton has done phenomenal acting in the movie, which earned him a Golden Globe nomination. Most of Keaton's scenes were improvised almost 40% of the time. His character was inspired by a combination of cab drivers and used car salesmen. When Netflix launched in 1988, Beetlejuice was the first DVD rental sent to customers. Beetlejuice has become a timeless classic that has inspired Tim Burton's future works. Beetlejuice is also the first Tim Burton movie to win an Oscar. The movie is a mix of quirky humor, memorable characters, and supernatural adventure that continues to capture audiences' attention, solidifying its place as a beloved classic in American cinema. Fun fact, remember the iconic scene where Beetlejuice eats up a fly? It pays homage to the 1958 popular horror classic, The Fly, and Geena Davis, who played Barbara Maitland, starred in the 1986 The Fly remake. One crazy coincidence is that Michael Keaton was offered the main role in the 1986 remake, but he turned it down. But it doesn't end here. When Beetlejuice pulls the fly underground, listen for the fly's "Help me! Help me!" scream, which is a direct reference to the original movie. The Dead Don't Die, 2019. Next up, we have Jim Jarmusch's zombie comedy horror, The Dead Don't Die, released in 2019. The Dead Don't Die was the opening movie at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival. It centers around the small town of Centerville, where two police officers, Ronald Peterson and Cliff Robertson, are doing their routine task when suddenly the dead begin to rise from their graves. The reason behind the zombie outbreak is linked to hydraulic fracturing, which has revived ancient undead creatures. Chief Robertson and Officer Peterson partner with Officer Mindy Morrison to contain the situation. Officers and residents must fight to survive as the number of zombies increases. The movie received mixed reviews, an appraisal for its unique social commentary, cast, and tone, but it was criticized for its inconsistent pacing and narrative. The movie's title is referenced from a 1930s song called The Dead March. It also draws inspiration from the idea that zombies defy mortality, similar to supernatural beings like vampires or werewolves. The movie reunites actors Bill Murray,
Chloe Sevigny,
and Tilda Swinton after the 2005 movie Broken Flowers, also directed by Jim Jarmusch. An interesting fun fact is that the zombie with the guitar, played by Sturgill Simpson, is the one who sang the movie's theme song. Ready or Not 2019. Lastly, we have Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette's directorial Ready or Not, a horror film released in 2019. The story revolves around Grace, who's marrying Alex Le Damas, a member of an affluent and eccentric Le Damas family. Le Damas' family has made their wealth through board games. After the wedding, as part of family tradition, the new member of the family, i.e. Grace, must participate in the game. The game is revealed to be hide and seek with a sinister twist. Grace is supposed to hide in the game while the family members, Alex's mother, sister, and brother, have to hunt her down. The stakes are raised when Grace learns that losing the game would mean sacrificing herself to her new family's dark ancient legacy. As the movie continues, dark secrets about the Le Damas family and their true intentions are exposed. The movie received positive reviews and a rating score of 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics have praised the movie's unique mixture of social commentary, horror, and dark comedy. Samara Weaving, who played Grace's character, performed most of her stunts. The 1974 movie And Then There Were None inspired the movie's writing and some concepts from The Most Dangerous Game. The movie features many unique elements, like the iconic Elvis Presley song Love Me Tender, which was remade specifically for the film. The directors went crazy with the fog machine, even though Searchlight cautioned them. The Le Damas dynasty was influenced by game manufacturers Milton Bradley and Parker Brothers, which Hasbro now owns. If you are interested in a movie that keeps you on your edge and makes you laugh at unexpected turns, then this movie is a must-watch. Marvelous Verdict. Horror comedy movies skillfully blend the rush of fear and suspense with humor to negate the scary moments, providing an entertaining experience. Even though it's not anticipated much in the horror category, the genre continues to grow and brings important social issues into its fold in an interesting way, completely transforming the watching experience. If you are one of those faint-hearted people who can't digest classic horror or jump scares, but can digest bloody gory scenes, then horror comedy is the genre you would most definitely enjoy. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe out there. Thanks, everyone.